And we are live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first, hopefully not last, episode of the Esoteric podcast.
That would suck.
I am T.J.Bunker. We have another friend, RJ, so most people are going to call me Travis during this. It's just a lot easier to keep us apart. Our podcast is just whatever we feel like talking about, because, I don't know, we get bored sometimes and talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
So, with us, there are three of us. We have Wesley.
I am Wesley Wesley, also known as Demosai for any people around the New Ulm area who have heard of me. I attempted to do rap music for a while. I have my own YouTube channel if you're interested, Demosai. Yeah.
All right. The third member of our merry band is our friend RJ, who goes by Tuskar on Twitter and on Twitch when he does his own video game streams.
Yep.
He is unfortunately ill today. We saw him last night, and yeah, he did not look well. So, he's not with us today, but we hope to see him next week. Hopefully everything's going well. Maybe he's even sitting at home right now listening to us, assuming he didn't forget that we're podcasting, or even worse, assuming he's not like vomiting or something even worse. So, we just talk about whatever we want. As I said earlier, we generally focus on your typical geek ephemera, I guess you could call it.
Yes.
We watch movies, we play games. Wesley over there gets into music because, I don't know, it's a thing Wesley does.
Yeah. Mainly rap music, but I will be doing talks on other aspects of the music industry nowadays.
Right. So today we have an interesting slate of things. We all decided to watch the movie Now You See Me Too, mostly because there's really nothing in theaters that any of us want to see. We had a mild passing interest in Now You See Me Too. Yeah. So we're talking about that first, and then RJ was going to talk about WoW, because he's a big fan of WoW. I don't play.
I tried getting into MMOs a while ago. I just couldn't hold my interest.
But RJ, unfortunately, like I said, isn't here. So instead, we're going to talk about the news that Sony released a little over a week ago now for the PS4 Plus, and what we think about that. And then we also played the game Read Only Memories, which we'll be talking about at the end. We all absolutely loved that game.
Yes.
And that is going to be our favorite part, or my favorite part anyway.
Yeah. Right before the end, I will be doing a quick talk about an artist I follow very closely by the name of Kasky. I'm just going to throw that name out very early. So,
all right. So that is us. As we said, RJ broadcasts on Twitch under Tuskar, Tuskgar, as I recall.
I think it's 2 R's.
2 R's?
Yeah.
I never remember. He normally does that on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Sundays when we're done here. Obviously not this evening.
Yes.
I published a book once. Feel free to look that up. It's called The Future Calls by T.J.Bunker. I have a Twitter at T.J.Bunker, I think. That sounds right. That I haven't used in like 3 years. Who knows? Maybe I'll start using it again here. I also have a Facebook page, T.J.Bunker. I haven't used that in several years either. That one I'm less likely to revive just because Facebook's lazy. Or lame? I'm lazy. Facebook's lame. Yeah, that would be the correct association of words there.
Yeah.
So where can we find you, Wesley?
I have a YouTube channel that goes by Demosai, Demosi. I used to post rap music, then I did a podcast for a while on there, and nowadays I occasionally post album reviews or mixtape reviews, and the case of a rant Travis is going to have later. And I do I'm planning on reviving that soon for more reviews and live streaming every Friday for playing the games that we're going to be reviewing on this podcast.
All right. And if you want to hear more from us at the Esoteric Podcast, you can find us on Twitter at the Esoteric Pod. We'll be posting our insights. We'll let you know when our next stream is here on Twitch TV. Should be every Sunday at 3 o'clock. We'll probably start posting what our topics are, so you know what to expect beforehand.
Yes.
We'll be posting other things, following some other video game and movie people, and maybe retweeting some of their stuff that we like. Maybe making fun of the stuff we don't like between podcasts. We're thinking about starting up a blog. We don't have that yet. And if you really like what we have, you can find us on Patreon. And you can support us, give us some money. We can buy better equipment, maybe some soundproofing instead of this big echoey kitchen we're in with the dog barking in the background and whatever else you manage to hear during this podcast.
There's just clusterfuck shit, man.
Yeah, right now we're kind of a very low-budget operation here. We're going to get better stuff. We're going to get more people involved. We'll have guests eventually and stuff like that. And if you want to support us, look for us on Patreon. We are the Esoteric Podcast. So that gets our introductions out of the way. Well, let's delve into Now You See Me 2. Now You See Me 2 is, of course, the sequel to the original Now You See Me with Jesse Eisenberg and Mark Ruffalo. And the original had... What was that chick's name? She's married to the guy from Borat. Whatever. She's not in the second one anyway, so I guess it's not important.
Yeah.
I'll probably think of her name about now. Isla Fisher. See, I'm good at this. Let's see here. And then we, the fourth member of the troupe is Captain America's. No, not Captain America. The Harry Osborn from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. His younger brother.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of his name. Either of them.
Me either.
I'll probably come to me later, just like Isla Fisher did. Isla Fisher, of course, was pregnant for the sequel, so she was not in it. She was replaced by...
Why she wasn't
yes, that's why she wasn't in it. Movie news says she's coming back for the third. She will be back for the third, assuming she's not pregnant for that one, I guess. I don't know what that means for her replacement in the sequel, whether they'll both be in it, or whether the...
Maybe they'll just kill her off. I mean, I didn't like the character that much, so I wouldn't care.
But Now You See Me 2, of course, follows directly after Now You See Me. Actually, it's about a year after Now You See Me, where you follow the four horsemen as they go through a series of events.
And Daniel Radcliffe's there.
Personally, for me, I was a little confused by the direction of the sequel because the four horsemen in the original, for anybody who hasn't seen it, were kind of just there. The actual focus was on Mark Ruffalo's character, who's an FBI agent, and that sort of thing. And then when they went to the sequel, they went, oh, and now the Four Horsemen are the most important part of the movie, and we focused on them. It was really weird because the characters, thankfully the actors did an excellent job. The three returning actors from the Four Horsemen did an excellent job of making it seem like their characters actually had these prior relationships and everything. Even though you never really saw that in the first movie. They were just kind of there, they did their magic tricks, then they went away. So they didn't have character development in the first movie.
Yeah.
But the actors did an excellent job of embodying the concept of them having had character development when they started the second movie. I really appreciated that because, like I said, there wasn't any character development in the first movie.
Yeah.
So seeing these guys all of a sudden have character arcs and personalities really was kind of new and unique.
Okay, I liked the movie in certain regards. One of my favorite things is the magic trick action stuff was phenomenal. It's just, actiony stuff in my consideration. As a sequel, what?
It was a good popcorn action flick.
Yeah. One of the other things I liked was, first of all, Daniel Radcliffe's performance. Fucking, like, before he started having the daddy issues shit happen, where he's like, trying to make his dad proud and all that shit. Before that, he was phenomenal. I mean, he was the kind of guy he was a standard villain, who you could kind of just laugh at. But honestly, when it tried to get, like, twisty and turny, like, oh, this is that's this, secrets, I was kind of sitting there like, yeah, I knew all this shit already. You telling me that was, what the fuck? And just in general, it's not a bad movie. It's a good waste your Saturday night because you got nothing better to do movie.
Yeah. No, it was not terrible. I've definitely seen worse movies. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch this movie, but if it's on TV and I've got nothing else going on, if I've got the DVD sitting around, just looking for something to keep me entertained on a Saturday night, it's not bad. My biggest problems with the movie come in the Eye.
Oh my God.
For anybody who saw the first movie or didn't see the first movie, the Eye is this rumored organization that was started in ancient Egypt, where magicians would use their tricks and what have you to basically be Robin Hood. They'd rob from rich people as punishment, and they'd give the money to the rich people had harmed. And the Four Horsemen in the first movie are alleged to be a part of this organization, not by them, but by the FBI, she was an Interpol agent. She's an Interpol agent from Europe who's on loan to the FBI because a European bank or a French bank was involved in the first heist. And then all of a sudden at the end of the first movie, it's kind of quasi-revealed that the Eye is real. I don't know, that was weird. But, it was because basically the whole first movie is a 30-year revenge plan by this magician who was, his father was killed doing a magic trick. His father was a magician, his father was killed, and it was his 30-year revenge plan to get back at the people who made the safe shoddily, which the sequel screws up. The people who refused his mother the insurance money, and the bank. I don't remember what the bank did to him, but the bank did something to him. But so the whole first movie was his 30-year revenge plan, and when I first saw it, I thought that the Eye was this thing magicians knew about that the guy used as a lure to get these people to help him on his 30-year revenge plan, his 30-year-old revenge plan. But then in the sequel, you find out that it's a real thing? Maybe? I don't know, they do a lot of fake-outs there. Yes, it's real. No, it's not.
Especially in the beginning where Jesse Eisenberg is his character's apparently...
Wandering through the sewers. Finding these little artifacts buried in sewer walls of what city we're not told, to go find some secret room that is the Eye's. And he's going to talk to the secretive people behind the Eye, because the guy who, like I said from the first movie, just had a 30-year revenge plan, is apparently actually in contact with the Eye, and is giving the Four Horsemen their orders on behalf of the Eye. And now Jesse Eisenberg wants to cut him out of the loop, and I mean, in case I didn't mention it, and I certainly did not, spoiler warning, we're going to talk about anything and spoil everything we want.
And then later in the movie where it's it was Daniel Radcliffe the whole time. I was sitting there no shit, even I knew that.
Which made you think that, Mark Ruffalo overplayed his hand and convinced these guys the Eye was a little too real, and that made them, susceptible, except, oh no, the Eye really is real.
Oh my gosh.
What the fuck?
Just at the end of the movie, the Chinese couple, the Eye's real. What the fuck?
No, I was actually really confused, especially in the beginning when Jesse Eisenberg was trying to go around Mark Ruffalo.
I
mean, I'm sitting there trying to think back to the first movie, and I actually watched the first movie after seeing this one. I went back and watched the first movie, and there was nothing in Jesse Eisenberg's character that seemed to suggest that he was going to try and circumvent Mark Ruffalo and go behind his back, or he felt that he was being a second fiddle or something. I mean, because if in the first movie, when the Four Horsemen are summoned, or whatever you want to call it, they all find tarot cards. On one side is a regular tarot card, and on the other side is an eye with an address they have to go to. Jesse Eisenberg is about to have sex with a groupie, spots this card across the room, tells the groupie to go home, and he grabs the card so he can go do whatever. They didn't bother to explain why this was so, why is this such an awesome tarot card that he's going to give up sex with a hot groupie to follow its summons, which literally didn't even have to be followed at that moment. It was some date in the future, be it this apartment building in New York City. There was no indication that was 4 hours from now I'd better be there. It was I'm not going to have sex tonight because I really needed to check my email. I mean, what the fuck was that?
That's why I couldn't be a magician in these movies. I mean, sex or tarot card? Fucking, I'm choosing sex.
But yeah, so anybody willing to do that, why is he going to, like, betray his boss all of a sudden? What was that character? I mean, where did that come from? That was just so out of left field.
I think it was supposed to be the stereotype of characters. It's like, oh, I'm smarter than the boss, and then at the end it's like, oh, no, you're not. You're just a dumb kid and shit, and it...
Yeah, no, it was that was screwed up.
Yeah.
No idea why they did that, but yeah, the reveals throughout the movie just it was a thing where, like, if you watch the first movie, all of the reveals there made you go, oh wow, that was, you know, and it made more sense after the reveal.
Yeah.
The sequel here, every time they reveal something, you go, wait a minute. Now this whole section here doesn't make any sense. What is going on here?
Well, see, you know, I saw the first Night Semi. I forgot a lot of it. I didn't rewatch it before watching this one, so I kind of just went in with, you know, a bit of naive perspective. I watched it, and like some of the reveals involving Daniel Radcliffe, I was like, you didn't know that? Like, what the fuck? Like, it's just...
The biggest screwed up reveal for me was at the end of the film, they revealed that the British guy who was in charge of security that they had to steal the thing, because in the middle of the movie they have to use their magic tricks to break in and steal this computer chip on behalf of Daniel Radcliffe, who's blackmailing them, because this is basically Ocean's 12 with magic. Wait, no, I saw Ocean's 12. Most of that stuff was magic, too. This is Ocean's 12 with only 4 people.
And Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah. But no, so there was, it's basically just Ocean's 12. So they're being blackmailed by Daniel Radcliffe's bad guy, and they have to go steal this computer chip in Macau, China. And there's this British dude who's like in charge of security or something, and they're trying to dupe him. And at the end of the movie, it's revealed that he's actually a member of the Eye. So what was that whole thing? Actually, that whole scene, it was fun to watch, but logically it pisses me the hell off.
Oh, yeah.
Because the whole scene is the computer chip they're stealing is about the size of a playing card. So, and apparently is sticky. I don't know why it's sticky, but they managed to stick it to an actual playing card.
Yeah.
And they used that, apparently they knew they were going to do a poor job of stealing it and get frisked. Because when they were planning the heist, they're talking about how they're going to have to learn all these card tricks, and because only one of the 4 members is actually good at card tricks, so the other 3 have to learn all these card tricks so they can pull this off.
Yeah.
But then when they're in there, literally, if the guy whose name I still haven't remembered, I should have written it down. If he hadn't been spotted sneaking out from behind where he was stealing the item from, they wouldn't have been frisked. And if they weren't frisked, they wouldn't have needed all this fancy card tricks.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, apparently they were planning on him screwing up and getting seen and therefore needing to be frisked. It was weird. And then that whole scene, I mean, that was the longest, most pronounced, and most bizarre frisking imaginable.
Like they're like, especially when Lulu was the character's name in when she had to like take off her bra and stuff. I'm like, how detailed do we need to be with this frisk? I mean, I understand it's a computer chip that does a lot of shit, but what the fuck?
Well, no, that wasn't even necessarily a bad thing. It was the fact that they had already like frisked her, because the whole scene is you see the guy who has the card and he's being frisked, and they're about to get to the point of frisking him where they will feel the card, so he like slips it into his hand and palms it and throws it off to the next guy. Except each character ended up with the card like 4 times during this frisking. It's like, how long is this frisk going to take? Like, Lulu taking off her bra was like the 3rd time she had that freaking card in her possession. They're just now getting to a point where all the throwing it back and forth was what was making these guards suspicious, and I guess kept making them frisk these people for like 5 solid minutes. Pretty sure by that point in time, you need to pay them like $100, and you expect a happy ending. I mean, what the hell is this? It's the weirdest... it was fun to watch, don't get me wrong. Watching the cool tricks and stuff. But on an intellectual level, that was just so needless and dumb.
Which reminds me of things that kind of pissed me off. The ending, where we find out everything happened because Morgan Freeman fucking planned it.
Actually, that was another thing that Another thing they revealed in this movie that made you look at the first movie and go, what? Because it's very heavily hinted at that Morgan Freeman is maybe in charge of the Eye, at the very least definitely in the Eye.
Yeah.
But in the first movie, he was a straight-up magician debunker dude.
Yeah.
His whole character was magicians are stupid and he needs to reveal their tricks to the world and show how they did it because he's a failed magician himself. And Mark Ruffalo's character from the first movie ends up hating him because he blames Morgan Freeman for pushing his dad to perform the trick that got him killed, that caused Mark Ruffalo to have a 30-year hate on for the guy.
Yeah.
And then here in the sequel, it's revealed that, oh no, Morgan Freeman and Mark Ruffalo's dad were actually super best friends, and Morgan Freeman pretending to hate magic and push him was actually part of the act that Morgan Freeman kept doing for 30 years after his partner died. Oh, and after his partner died, he didn't come clean to his partner's family. He didn't come clean when Mark Ruffalo has him thrown in jail, and because Mark Ruffalo framed him.
Yeah.
No, this is not a time when you're going to tell people that, oh no, I was actually your dad's good buddy. I've spent 30 years freaking committed to this bit that has accomplished nothing. I mean, I guess it made him a bunch of money, but
yeah. But even that, you're kind of like, well, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, no, that was some whack out shit, man.
Yeah.
No, it was Morgan Freeman's character. I mean, he did a good job in the movie. Don't get me wrong. It was not the same character from the first movie. This was not the same guy. It was a different guy wearing the skin of the guy from the first movie. And I'm very curious, what kind of prison is that guy in? If I ever go to the prison, I want to be in his prison. Because, oh my God, he's in a prison cell with a computer and nice sheets, and he's got wall decorations and internet access, and
Please? Can I live there?
I think his room was better than my room. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that he's not allowed to go outside and do whatever he wants, I would live there on purpose. I mean, that was...
Shit. I think that's supposed to be like telling the audience, he's rich as fuck. He learned nothing, but he's rich as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess if I wanted to, and I guess I will, you can defend Morgan Freeman's character due to the fact that, at least in cinema, I don't know how it is in real life, but in cinema, if you watch other magician movies, I think about, like The Prestige.
Oh, yeah.
Is one that comes to mind. Magicians are frequently shown as being, like, super dedicated to the point of doing absurd things.
Yeah.
Scenes from The Prestige that comes to mind is, in the beginning of the movie, they go see that Chinese guy who does that fishbowl trick. And it's revealed that he walks with a limp his entire life to disguise the limp he has on stage when he's got a fishbowl shoved between his knees that he pelvic thrusts up onto a stand. For like 50 years, this guy has deliberately been affecting a limp in public, even though he doesn't have one, just to disguise it in a trick. The bigger one is that, why am I forgetting his name today? Batman, Christian Bale. Christian Bale's character in this movie is revealed by the end of the movie. Oh, we're spoiling multiple movies, by the way. He's revealed by the end of this movie to actually have been two identical twin brothers who would legitimately trade places. They did this trick where one guy would go into a booth in one side of the room and his brother would pop out of the booth at the other side of the room. But they wouldn't do the usual switch back at the end of the trick thing. No, what would happen is the one brother would disappear and he'd go off, and they never reveal where he's hiding or anything, but he'd go hide. Meanwhile, the other brother comes out and finishes the stage thing and then continues to live the guy's life. Goes home to the wife and the child and literally is living this guy's life. One brother actually loves his wife and his child. The other brother isn't real keen on them, actually loves their assistant. So the one brother goes in and the other brother comes out, and now for the next week or so until they do the trick again, the brother that hates the wife and is sleeping with the assistant is around. and then they switch back a week later when they do the trick the next time.
That would be an interesting thing to, like, bring up to your wife at, like, a first date or like, get married.
The wife doesn't know. They kept it secret from everybody.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I mean, so, I guess this was the bit that Morgan Freeman's character was doing, and he's so committed to the bit that he kept it up for 30 years after his partner died. I guess movie magicians are insane, and this is a thing they do. I don't know.
I'd like to see the one magician who really doesn't give a shit, but still makes millions either way.
I think they call him David Copperfield.
Oh, yeah.
No offense to David Copperfield. I don't actually know much about the guy. I'm not big into magic, so I don't. He's probably a great guy, and I'm sure he does lots of awesome things, but he happens to be the only famous magician I know, so I'm going to make jokes at his expense today.
Well, there's Chris Angel, but,
I don't know this guy.
He made magic angsty.
Okay, so he's Jim Carrey's character from, I forgot the name of that movie. God, I'm terrible with names today. Steve Buscemi and... I'm doing a terrible job with names. Never mind. It's a thing where there's these two partner magicians who have a Las Vegas stage act. Steve Carell, that's the other guy I'm trying to think of. Okay. And their stage act is kind of going poorly, losing members because they've been doing the exact same act for like 20 years. And then Jim Carrey's character comes in and he does all this extreme magic stuff. Like one trick he does, his magic trick is he takes a battery drill, puts a drill bit in it, and drills into his temple. That's his magic trick. There's literally, there's no trick there. It's not a fake drill bit. He literally just drills into his own head, calls it magic.
That's not magic. That's self-mutilation.
Yeah, it was a weird movie.
Makes me curious. I gotta find that movie now.
We'll look it up after the podcast. Maybe if anybody's actually watching this, they can look it up for us and put it in the comments. And then everybody else listening to the podcast knows what the hell we're talking about, because I'm clearly terrible with names today, and I'm not near I'm on the other side of the room from the computer, so I can't
and I don't have
actually
Twitch
look
chat
it up.
Open, so
huh?
I don't have Twitch chat open.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to look it up later.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm on the other side of the room from the computer, so I can't look it up on IMDb right now either. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I've taken notes for movies before for discussions. This whole movie thing is basically some friends and I like to, not the group of friends we're currently talking with, but some other friends and I occasionally like to just analyze movies. So we'll sit down and take notes. And I've never written what the fuck in my notes quite as often as I did for this movie. So many things. Like here's a good one. Woody Harrelson, in the first movie, he mentions just casually that he is a has-been magician due to the fact that his brother was his manager, and his brother stole the money and ran off with it. In this movie, it is revealed that this is his identical twin brother, who is also a magician, and they kind of retcon it into he's not his manager so much as they were partners, and then their partnership broke up, so his brother became manager, because the Woody Harrelson we knew from the first movie, his solo act took off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Woody Harrelson playing his own brother.
Yeah.
I don't think he was going for gay, but definitely effeminate and flamboyant.
Yeah, like I noticed that through the whole thing. I'm like, this guy's super flamboyant. What the fuck?
Yeah. Wasn't quite a gay stereotype. I will give Woody Harrelson that.
Yeah.
But definitely effeminate and flamboyant, and I can't get that voice out of my head. The way Woody Harrelson does that voice for that character, oh my god, it keeps me up at night. It was just so I mean, what the fuck, man?
Like, even I was watching, I'm like, is this guy gay? Are we gonna find out about his gay lover Roberto? Or like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, that was. And then, of course, they have the scene where it's revealed that Woody Harrelson's brother steals the information that led up to this whole thing from Woody Harrelson by showing up at his door pretending to be a pizza guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he just spins a pizza box, and somehow that hypnotizes Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
What?
Like, I was looking at half the hypnotism tricks they had in this movie, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is just walking up to someone whispering in their ears, you'll fall asleep soon.
Technically, it's the same way they did the hypnotism in the first movie. Mm-hmm. So it was a nice extension from that. But no, it was the thing where the pizza. I mean, Woody Harrelson, the one. I wish I could remember the characters' names. His character from the first movie, the Four Horsemen guy, is supposed to be an accomplished mentalist. Like in the first movie, he's the guy who does all the hypnotism that they did in that movie and what have you. And here he's hypnotized by his brother waving a pizza box in front of him. I mean, I suppose it wasn't waved; it was stuck on a stick and like spun.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a special-looking pizza box. It was literally just like a red and white box that said pizza on it. I don't understand how that's going to hypnotize an accomplished mentalist. I mean, I don't know.
I'm remembering some of the things I heard when I took psychology last year. Something about maybe the way the pizza is moved, the colors of the box specifically being moved stimulated certain retinas and cones in the eye that may have... I'm trying to technobabble my way out of this, and I'm failing.
Woody Harrelson's supposed to be an accomplished mentalist. Why did he look at the pizza box? You see, you're an accomplished mentalist. You see a spinning pizza box. What do? You avert your gaze because you know what's going on here.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
So I mentioned earlier that Isla Fisher's character is replaced because she was pregnant. I enjoyed her in the first movie. I was disappointed not to see her back, but Lulu, the actress that played her, did a good job. I am very, very curious, though. How the hell did she even learn? Like, it's revealed early in the movie that she is the new member of the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
How? Like, they never talk about that. Like, they kind of made it sound like she heard about the Four Horsemen and being part of the Eye, and then somehow tracked down the Eye to become a member of the Four Horsemen and, like, force her way in. I mean, did Mark Ruffalo go hunt her down? Because that wasn't really talked about. They really made it feel like this chick was just so
damn essential.
She was so damn gung ho about it that she hunted these guys down, and
Well, like it was like I'm trying to remember the one scene. Like she breaks into Jesse Eisenberg's apartment, and it's like, you know, they have that conversation back and forth, and apparently they know each other from the past or some shit. And like
sort of. At least they know of each other.
Yeah, and like she pulled a dead rabbit out of a hat or something.
She pulled a hat out of a rabbit.
Oh.
Is what it was said. And that was a running gag throughout the movie. Is that 8 years ago she pulled a hat out of a rabbit, and that's all anybody could remember about her career. Like, they'll meet a new person, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, you're that magician who pulled the hat out of the rabbit. And she goes, oh, that was 8 years ago. Come on, I've done things since. You know what's really cool about, or not cool, really dumb about that? I rewatched the first movie, like I said, after I watched this one. Isla Fisher does a pull the hat out of the rabbit trick on stage at first or second Four Horsemen show.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. I saw that and I'm like, wait a minute. That completely negates the whole talking about it over and over again in the freaking sequel.
Oh my gosh.
Because the character that replaced the character from the first movie, apparently the only thing she's remembered for is doing a trick that Isla Fisher did in the first movie. I guess this chick did it first. But it's never brought up that Isla Fisher did it in the first movie. I mean, nobody mentioned it. It's like, really? Come on. Come up with a different gag, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. That puts it in perspective. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I remember, like, they broke, and apparently from that apartment scene I was talking about, I think that Jesse Eisenberg and that chick knew each other beforehand because they had this, like, chemistry with each other that was kind of like, hey, you seem like you two know each other. Granted, that could have just been me filling in blanks.
No, they were quite possibly going with that because she was replacing Isla Fisher's character from the first movie.
Yeah.
And in the first movie, Isla Fisher's character is Jesse Eisenberg's former assistant.
Yeah.
She had left him to pursue her own magician career.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. So I would not be surprised if here in the sequel, mostly because there's a distinct possibility that some, if not a lot of the character information was left from when they wrote it, anticipating it being Isla Fisher before she was pregnant and couldn't do the movie. Therefore, if they didn't change enough, you could definitely get that vibe because, hey, that was the vibe you were supposed to get in when it was supposed to be Isla Fisher. So, Yeah. Now, I do have a question for you. In the beginning of the movie, Jesse Eisenberg, like I said, he was in the sewers. He was finding those little things hidden in the wall to go find the secret temple to the eye. And then later in the movie, it's revealed that he was actually talking to Daniel Radcliffe's character. How did Daniel Radcliffe, set that up? Did he find a secret base for the eye already in the sewers and then took it over?
We're supposed to believe, from what I'm guessing here, the audience is supposed to believe that the whole time Jesse Eisenberg thought he was talking to the eye was actually Daniel Radcliffe. So he just randomly put something in the sewers, and they had a phone conversation or something, or maybe fucking misdirect.
Yeah, but why did Jesse Eisenberg go down there? Why was he looking for this in the first place? I mean, this is like when you're trying to circumvent your boss. You go to your boss's office at work because you know where your boss's office is, or you go to the lunchroom and you casually talk to him. In a secret society like this, in other movies, it would be you go to the temple or whatever because you know that's where the secret society gathers. Yeah. How did Daniel Radcliffe, did these things exist and Daniel Radcliffe took one over without the eye noticing, because the eye does exist, as we find out at the end of the movie? Or did he set this up and Jesse Eisenberg fell for it? I think he just set this up and Jesse Eisenberg fell for it, because it's never really established, admittedly, but from what I saw, just in general, Daniel Radcliffe was like, hey, I don't fucking know how to explain it exactly. Daniel Radcliffe was like, hey, Jesse Eisenberg, I'm part of the eye. Here's all this shit that proves it. Don't believe me? Don't believe me? Proof or something along the lines. And to me, it felt kind of like, how the fuck did this happen? I never understood that myself. I just kind of was like, okay, the movie wants me to believe it. I'll believe it for a second. Yeah, it was weird, because either Daniel Radcliffe managed to take over the eye's thing, which means the eye could have put a stop to Daniel Radcliffe's plan, which seems to be what their plan is, to put a stop to Daniel Radcliffe's plan. Yeah. They could have done it by simply not letting him take over one of their secret bases in the sewers. That would have been easy. Why let him trick the Four Horsemen into helping him? I don't understand.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I was watching and I was kind of like, this loses me a bit, but I don't know if I have the right to say anything.
Yeah, the whole eye thing, especially when they revealed they were real at the end, was just like, what? Because then it's also revealed that Mark Ruffalo's dad had actually obtained his supplies from this magic store in Macau that is run by the eye. It became a very big, important thing in the movie. Except in the first movie, it was revealed that Mark Ruffalo got revenge on the third company he did by making their safes look bad, because they're the company that made the safe his dad died in, and the reason his dad died was because the pressure at the bottom of the Hudson River warped the metal, and when he picked the lock and forced it open, it didn't open.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless the movie's trying to tell us that his dad ordered the safe and it was sitting in Macau and then he couldn't afford to ship it, so he ordered a replica from the crappy company in, I think it was New Jersey or wherever it was.
Which, I mean, that could make sense if they had just said that straight out, but they never did. They're just like, he got a shitty safe, but he had one made by the eye. Yeah. He had a shitty safe.
So did the eye give him a shitty? Did the eye murder his dad? Or at the end of the movie, are we going to find out that his dad actually abandoned, this whole he died thing has actually been a trick because he became the leader of the eye and had to abandon his family, and that's what the third movie is going to be about?
That better be what the third movie's about, otherwise I'm going to murder a bitch.
No, that would piss me off. That would so piss me off, because he fakes his death and leaves his family in a lurch. His partner ends up framed and in jail because his son has a 30-year vendetta against him. I mean, you want to talk about dysfunctional family. I mean, if they do that in the third movie had better be Mark Ruffalo and the Four Horsemen bringing the eye down for being a bunch of asshats. I mean,
it could definitely take that turn from what I've seen of the movie, which reminds me of things that, weird turns and things. There's something about Daniel Radcliffe and Jesse Eisenberg's, the way their characters act, that makes me really more pissed at Batman v Superman. You know why?
Because Daniel Radcliffe wasn't in that movie? I'm confused.
Okay, the way they both act, there's a certain chemistry between the two. That Daniel Radcliffe seems a bit more like Lex Luthor. Jesse Eisenberg seems more like the Joker. They had that chemistry. And granted, I'm pulling shit out of thin air in my head with the way my brain usually works, but if I had seen that Jesse Eisenberg in Now You See Me 2 do Lex Luthor, I would have been in love. And then see that Daniel Radcliffe somehow become Joker in Batman v Superman, I would have fucking loved that shit.
Okay.
And I did notice, I don't know if it's an Easter egg or just showing that the actor actually did shave his head, but I noticed Jesse Eisenberg's hair was shorter than usually. So that leads me to believe he did Now You See Me 2 right after Batman v Superman.
He did. And it's not an Easter egg. It's called The Way Hair Grows, Wesley.
Yes.
He shaved his head for Batman v Superman, and then he had to grow his hair back out.
Yeah.
By the time he filmed Now You See Me 2, it was not out to the regular length. Mm-hmm. That's just called biology. Mm-hmm. Not an Easter egg in the movie.
Yeah.
I suppose they could have put a wig on him.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So, okay. One thing that really annoyed me with this movie is, that didn't annoy me with the first one, is, and it has to do with the larger focus on the Four Horsemen. We weren't focused on the Four Horsemen in the first movie, which means, and it did happen a couple times in the first movie, due to the big reveal at the end that Mark Ruffalo, who was an FBI agent, was actually the one behind it. He was technically investigating himself. There were a few scenes, the one where Morgan Freeman hints that the FBI agent, or not the Interpol agent from France that he's working with might actually be in on it, and Mark Ruffalo acts like he believes this information and tears into her. That doesn't make any sense, because it's not like Morgan Freeman did this over the phone. It's not like Morgan Freeman was watching him interact with the Interpol agent after that, and the few times that Morgan Freeman would have seen them interact would have went to okay, he didn't believe me territory.
Yeah.
Not, oh, he's secretly behind it territory.
Yeah.
Because, why did he tear into the French lady? He knows it's not the French lady because he knows it's him. That was just for us, the audience. Mm. That is basically the only scene I can remember from the first movie where that happened. Mm. In the sequel, though, it happened several times, where, especially near the end, when the Four Horsemen turn everything around on Daniel Radcliffe and Caine. What is his first name? Michael Caine. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And turn it around on them, and it's revealed that, oh no, while you thought you were getting the upper hand on us, we were actually getting the upper hand on you. Which, basically stolen straight out of Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12 and Ocean's 13. They probably stole it from
becoming Oceans.
they probably stole it from somebody else. I'm not saying Oceans did it first, but Oceans I happen to know, and I like those movies. But yeah, there's the scenes where when it looks like their plan is going to shit. The Four Horsemen go to London. They have a plan. It looks like their plan is going to shit. There's literally nobody else around, and they are talking to each other as if their plan is going to shit.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, it's revealed that, oh no, our plan didn't go to shit. That was our plan the whole time.
Yeah.
Why were they acting like the plan was going to shit then? It was only for the audience.
Yeah. And I get where, yes, that does have, it's good that they did that for the audience, but at the same time, logically, it's kind of like, well, you didn't have to act that way.
Yeah, no. I preferred the way they did it in Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Because anytime they revealed, when they made the audience think this was happening, and then they revealed, oh no, this is what's actually happening, it didn't make the guys look dumb for acting that way the first time.
Yeah.
It revealed that they were acting the way they were because the audience was not being given all the information. Once the audience was given all the information, oh, that's what was going on. Yeah. What comes to mind is when they're building the set that looks like the bank vault. When they're doing that, they leave the audience believing that they are doing this so they can practice their break-in and stuff. And then at the end of the movie, it's revealed that they're actually doing it so they can film it and cheat the security cameras to make it look like there's a robbery in progress when there's not actually a robbery in progress.
Yeah.
See, that reveal, that twisted how you saw that earlier scene, but the way the actors acted in it still made sense.
Yeah.
It tricked the audience, but what they were saying to each other still made sense in either context. Mm-hmm. They should have done things like that. All they would have needed was to not show scenes where they were on their own, just jump. And that's where Now You See Me, the first one, generally missed it, is they would jump from one section to the next.
Yeah.
Don't show them all on their own somewhere.
Yeah.
Talking and pretending their plan went to hell. Only show them in the presence of other people pretending their plan went to hell.
Yeah.
Because then they're selling the plan.
Yes.
So yeah, that was a thing. Mm-hmm. But I was pleasantly surprised. They moved the first movie took place in mostly America. They started in Vegas and they went to New Orleans and then up to New York City or New Jersey or somewhere in that. I don't remember exactly where. They had a brief stopover in a bank in France. But mostly set in America. And this one, they spent a very large portion of the movie in Macau.
Yes.
In China.
Which I have to bring up a dumbass one for me. When they go to the magician shop for the first time, I'm like, why the fuck are they in Chinatown? Then I'm like, oh!
Yeah, no. A lot of times when I see things like that, I actually tend to get really annoyed because I'll bring up the fourth Transformers movie, which A, was not a good movie at all, and B, in like the third act of the movie, just randomly moves all the action over to China. There's really no good reason for it in the movie. They're just like, hey, we're going to go to China now.
I can tell you why.
Well, I know why. It's because the Chinese box office makes all kinds of money.
I was going to say because Michael Bay is racist.
Okay, I suppose he might be. I don't know. But no, it's because Chinese box office is making a bunch of money. And if you watch movies, a lot more movies nowadays are doing things in China, and they're using what are famous Chinese actors, even though we don't know them here in America. And I have no problem against that, except for when it just comes out of left field and you can tell it's shoehorned in just to get the box office numbers. I mean, two examples, both involve giant robots. Like I said, Transformers 4, third act, they just randomly move all the action over to China because, well, they wanted Chinese box office. There's really no reason for it in the movie. It's really dumb in the movie. Yeah. Pacific Rim, however, more giant robots. They did a big chunk of the middle of the movie in Hong Kong, probably for pretty close to the same reasons, but that didn't feel shoehorned in.
Yeah.
One of the characters was from Hong Kong, and exploring her backstory while they're in Hong Kong benefited everything.
Yeah.
And when I first saw them wake up in Macau in this movie, I was like, they moved this movie to China just to have them be in China, so that way we can get more Chinese box office numbers, and it's just going to be stupid and slapstick and thrown in there, and it wasn't. I was very pleasantly surprised. Yeah. They actually, the Macau angle really actually worked.
Yes.
The magic shop being there, and I don't know if there is an actual magic shop in Macau that the one in the movie was pretending to be, that is like super big with magicians or anything. Yeah. I don't know, but I do know that they had that magic shop in Macau, and they made it feel like this is actually a destination that big time magicians would use.
Yeah. And, a lot of it did feel natural.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like, oh, hey, we're in China because China.
Yeah. And I genuinely was amused at the few times they used the Lost in Translation thing, talking the grandmother at the Chinese shop and the kid, and the scene where Jesse Eisenberg, who's talking to her in like slow words and stuff, and then she says something in Chinese, and they didn't subtitle it.
Yeah.
They did the translation from the guy, from this grandson or whatever, who comes out and goes, my grandmother says, that just because you talk about it real slow and doesn't mean she suddenly learned English. And then at the end of the movie, they revealed that, oh yeah, she actually did speak English the whole time. That was actually generally amusing.
Yeah.
Genuinely amusing, and it was, so I was pleasantly surprised that Macau was used. I thought it was I thought done well. I don't know if any of those Chinese actors they had were big name actors in China at all, or
I
if they
couldn't
were
tell
just
either. I would guess so.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they were pretty bit parts. But yeah, I'm not familiar enough with Chinese cinema to know whether or not those guys were big time actors in China who were given work in this movie, or if there might be American actors of Chinese descent, or possibly, because America can be pretty racist, possibly just, any Asian descent. They're from South Korea, close enough. They look all Asian to us Americans. We'll throw them in anyway. They do that sometimes, because America's pretty damned racist, but But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not familiar enough with the cinema or those actors, and I didn't look them up before I came over here for this podcast. I probably should have. If I'm going to talk about this, I probably should have done some more research on it. But no, they did a good job. The setting of Macau felt natural. It was kind of a character on its own. I mean, that scene where Mark Ruffalo is trying to fight back against the Daniel Radcliffe's people who are trying to take him. That evasion scene would not have felt the same in any. I don't know a lot about other Chinese cities, but at least assuming this movie was an accurate reflection of what Macau looks like. That would not have worked as well in New York or L.A. or it had that very, very unique feel to it, and the way the shops are set up and the walls and everything lent some very interesting happenings to that scene that you wouldn't have captured in any other city, assuming that was an accurate representation in Macau. For all I know, that was actually some Hollywood bigwigs, very racist, stereotypical. This is what China looks like.
Can't you tell? No, I can't.
I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. It is 2016 that we are moving away from such overtly racist stuff, but don't quote me if it's actually turns out to be just an overtly racist thing. I'm going to feel bad if that turns out to be true.
That's just going to be awkward.
Yes, that would just be awkward. So.
Yes.
All right, you got anything else about the movie? I've pretty much covered everything I
just have my quick final thoughts on it. And granted, you might disagree with some of my points here. As a sequel, I feel it does exactly what a sequel is supposed to do. It, continues to develop the characters in an understandable and believable way. And considering we didn't really get that in the first movie, it's a nice plus. As a movie, it's very good. The story, mood, and action all work together to make a very easily followed plot while still having intriguing ideas that sometimes just fall flat in its fucking face. See the Eye for my example on that. Then, as a story, it does feel a bit been there, done that before by most movie cinema, but at the same time, it's still entertaining enough to have its own feel to it. So, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I will agree with a lot of your points. I mean, I feel that it did a good job as a sequel. It took the mythology and everything from the first movie and it expanded on it. It did what a lot of sequels do, unfortunately, which is, I don't know, I mean, it is possible that the whole Eye thing was already planned out and, like, they had multiple movies planned out when they wrote the first one, but it really doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Because of the contradictions between what the Eye is. I mean, there's the whole thing in the first movie they talk about, they only add members every 50 years.
Yeah.
But the sequel really makes it feel like Mark Ruffalo is a member. He's not 50! Or maybe he is. I suppose he might be early 50s, but that means he joined the Eye when he was, 3? I mean, come on, people.
Well, then, like, if we're all stuck on that, his dad died 30 years ago. So we're supposed to believe that he's 50. So his dad died when he was 20, but the flashback at the beginning of the movie, he was like,
he's clearly not 50 because it was a 30-year revenge plot. That's a good point. So yeah, clearly wasn't even born 50 years ago. So he's either not actually a member of the Eye, in which case I really don't understand how the fuck the Four Horsemen thought they were part of the Eye. I mean, Mark Ruffalo's been lying to them the whole time, pretending to be in the Eye and giving them orders. I don't know. So
maybe it's one of those things where it's a generational thing. They keep the Eyes, like, they add new generations to the Eye.
So because his dad was in the Eye, which they don't even mention, but he must have been if Morgan Freeman was in the Eye, which is heavily hinted at.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then again, Mark Ruffalo doesn't seem like he knew his dad was in the Eye. So I guess the Eye secretly made him a part of the Eye without telling him. It's because they grandfather in children of dead members. I mean,
sounds like some fucking Harry Potter type shit.
Yeah, no, that gets really, so expanding the mythos led to large holes in it, because they had to expand on something that wasn't designed to, or was just designed poorly in the first place. I don't know which. And they did. I enjoyed the character of the Four Horsemen, but like I said, they weren't really the main focus of the first movie. So switching over to them was a little jarring. It's a little. I think they worked better.
Hello, it is Wesley, or as you know, Demosai, and you're probably watching the end of the first podcast, and that kind of ended on a cliffhanger. Well, due to a technical, I messed up in the streaming with the first podcast. That is on me. The rest of the video is not there, even though we had plans to talk about read-only memories and some other news bits and trivia. We did, but due to a huge mess up by me, it's unhearable or unlistenable to. I basically I forgot to mute Twitch when I opened it up, or to give the stream a title and everything, and what happened was we got an infinite feedback loop, and you can't tell the rest. So this is the outro for the first Esoteric podcast. Admittedly, there's no... So, people are probably wondering. Travis, who's with me with that, T.J.Bunker, he's an awesome writer. So just go check him out. Has an amazing book, The Future Calls. I've read it. I loved it. RJ is a Twitch streamer, also known as Tuskar. Amazing Twitch streamer. I suggest you check him out, too. I stream, or do whatever I do on my YouTube channel, album reviews and stuff. And, we hope that you guys don't mind that we kind of messed up the first podcast. Episode 2 should be up with this first episode, and, probably more than likely is. And so we, everyone here at the Esoteric Podcast hopes you have a amazing, awesome morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of your day you're watching this. And above all, we all hope you have a nice life. Until next time, see you later. Goodbye.